Okay, welcome everybody to lesson 5. I'm going to do this topic in 2 parts. In this first part, we are going to discuss what time signatures are, what the top and bottom numbers indicate, where they are found, and essentially what they mean for us playing music. So here are a selection of time signatures. As you can see, they are written on the stave. Time signatures are indicated through the use of 2 numbers, or in some instances, a symbol. To begin, I want to show you where you can find the time signature. It is printed at the beginning of a piece just after the key signature. However, unlike the key signature, which is printed at the beginning of every new line of music, a time signature is only printed at the beginning of a piece unless a change in the time signature occurs. So in this example, you can see here that there is a time signature at the beginning of the piece, just after the key signature. However, on the second line here, we see that the time signature is no longer present, which allows us to assume that it remains the same. We've got it in the second example here. Again, the arrows indicate the placement of the time signature. So these 2 numbers here are what we are referring to whenever I say time signature. Again, the arrows indicating the placement of the time signature. So these numbers here is what I'm referring to when I say time signature. And again, no longer present on the second line, which allows us to assume that it has not changed. Another word that I'll be using in this video is bar. And what I'm speaking in reference to when I say this is the notation that occurs between the 2 thin black lines that split each line of notation. Here we have another little arrow pointing to one of those lines. So 1 bar, for example, would be in between these 2 highlighted red bar lines. The information of time signatures are in reference to the notes that are played in between each of these lines. Here is an example of a time signature. As you can see, there are 2 numbers printed. The fancy name for the top number is the numerator, and the bottom number is called the denominator. However, what these really mean is that the top number tells us how many beats are in a bar, and the bottom number tells us what type of note constitutes 1 beat. So what I mean by type is whether 1 beat of music is referring to a crotchet, quaver, or minim, etc. Don't worry too much if this seems confusing right now. I'm sure it will come together by the end of the lesson. So when the bottom number is a 4, it means that we are counting in crotchet beats. When the bottom number is an 8, we are counting in quavers. And when the bottom number is a 2, we are counting in minims. In this first example, we see the number 4 at the bottom, which means that we are referring to a crotchet beat. The top number is the number 2. This means that the sum of the note values in each bar equates to 2 crotchet beats. So as you can see in this first example, the bar consists of 2 crotchets. However, it makes equal sense for a bar with this time signature to consist of 2 quavers and 1 crotchet. As we know, a quaver note is held for half the time that a crotchet note is, and so in this example, these 2 quavers have the sum value of 1 crotchet, and the note following in this instance is a crotchet, so the sum note values in this bar is that of 2 crotchets, as indicated in the time signature. Of course, there are many other possible variations, which you can spot perhaps by skimming through a piece of music with this time signature if you like. Moving on to the next example, Again, the bottom number is a 4, indicating that we are counting in crotchet beats. In this instance, the top note is a 3, informing us that the sum of the note values in each bar in the following piece of music equates to that of 3 crotchets. This next example is one of the time signatures that have a shorthand symbol. The C here, indicating the word common, is referring to the time signature with the number 4 on the bottom and the number 4 on the top, which of course means that there are 4 crotchet beats in every bar. 4/4 is a very common time signature, hence the use of this abbreviation. However, it is not always written as such. There are many times in which composers may choose to write the numbers 4/4. However, just to be aware that that is the time signature that is indicated by this symbol. On to the next example, we have the number 2 at the bottom. This informs us that we are counting in minim beats. The top number is also a 2, informing us that there are 2 minim beats in every bar. The notation that follows in this instance is 2 minims. However, again, many different rhythms could be notated in a piece with this time signature. For example, here we have a dotted crotchet followed by a quaver followed by 2 crotchets. As we know, the value or duration of a minim is equal to that of 2 crotchets. And so here we have a dotted crotchet worth 1.5 crotchet beats, followed by a quaver worth half a crotchet beat, followed by 2 crotchets. I'm aware that we didn't discuss dotted note values in lesson 2. However, for now, just know that a dot beside a note adds half the value of that note onto its duration. So this crotchet, 1 crotchet beat, half a crotchet beat is a quaver. Therefore, this is 1.5 crotchet beats. Again, the sum total of the note duration of this bar is equal to that of 2 minims. 2/2 is a time signature that also has an alternative way of being indicated. This is what the symbol looks like, and it indicates the same key signature 2/2, 2 minim beats per bar. To quickly go through another example with the number 2 at the bottom, meaning that we are counting in minim beats. The top number in this instance is a 3, meaning that there are 3 minim beats per bar. The next time signature has an 8 on the bottom, informing us that we are counting in quaver beats. The top number is a 6, informing us that there are 6 quaver beats in every bar. The next example also has an 8 on the bottom, so again we know we are counting in quavers. The top number is the number 9, meaning that every bar contains 9 quaver beats, and that the sum of the note values notated in every bar is equal to that of 9 quavers. So that is all that we are going to go through in this part 1 on time signatures. I hope it was helpful. Any questions on what we have covered so far, do let me know, and I will see you guys next week.